What's up, you guys? So I'm here with a new video today. I'm here to give you guys another discussion, and this one, as you can tell by the title, is all about the Dark Magician, the Yu-Gi-Moto, the original Yu-Gi-Oh monster, if you want to call it that. I'm here to talk about this deck because I feel a lot of people are completely neglecting this deck, failing to acknowledge it as a deck in the current meta, and because of it, people are slowly but surely learning that you do not take this deck lightly. I personally had no idea what to expect when it was announced that Dark Magician was going to be a deck. I already knew that Blue Eyes White Dragon was going to be a deck, and I had a feeling that it's Blue Eyes White Dragon, one of the most iconic cards in the game. They're probably going to make it really, really good, and sure enough, they made the deck really good. Now, Dark Magician, of course, has always gotten a bad rap, even though it was Yugi, the main character's go-to monster. Dark Magician is 500 points weaker than Blue Eyes White Dragon. Therefore, when you started out playing Yu-Gi-Oh!, if you started with the Yugi deck, you were at a disadvantage compared to the Kaiba deck, yada, yada, yada. But now the deck has come full circle and it's gotten a lot of support. There's been a lot of tease cards over the years that have said, oh, maybe Dark Magician will get support someday. You've had Dark Magician Girl, Dark Sage, Dark Magician of Chaos, all these cards, and then finally Dark Magicians came, full circle and were able to, get a whole deck based around them. So why do I think this deck should not be underestimated and neglected? I've played against the deck a lot. One of my really good friends and one of my testing partners plays the deck religiously, and I learned about the deck through him. The deck has a lot of really cool things going for it. We'll start with the basics. So, Dark Magician by itself is not that impressive. I'm sorry to say, but it's not. It's a level 7, it's 2500 attack, 2100 defense. That's not that impressive. But what makes it work? What makes it work is being a 7, you have access to really good rank 7s. Big Eye is one of them. Ebon High Magician, the other magicians. Dracosac, etc. The only other deck that ever had consistent rank 7s was Mermails, depending on how many Teas they played, and Megalos, and also Dragon Rulers. Dragon Rulers were the only other deck that consistently pumped out rank 7s in the form of Big Eye and Dracosac. Now, those decks are completely different, but it's to show that even though Dark Magician is a vanilla, a normal monster, it still has the capability to make powerful cards like Big Eye and Dracosac, as well as other rank 7s like, Master of Blaze and all these other cards. But anyways, that's not the point. So Dark Magician by itself is not that strong. However, the cards that, work in the deck are pretty strong. You have this one, Magician of Dark Illusion. A lot of these cards, like, their effects don't really happen that much, but this one's really cool. Its name becomes Dark Magician while on the field, and you can use you can use each of these effects. So, its effect is if you yourself activate a spell or trap card, you can special summon this card from your hands. Basically, it's like activate a spell or trap, summon this card. What I really like about this is the synergy it has with obviously the best card in the deck, which is Dark Magician Circle. I'll get to that after, but that's one of the effects. The other effect is if you activate a spell or trap card effect while this card is face up on your field, except during the damage step, you can target one Dark Magician in your graveyard, special summon it. This effect can only be used once while this card is face up on the field. Okay, so it has recursion and it has the ability to special summon itself. This all works in conjunction with the best card in the deck because it's allowing you to banish multiple cards. Card's really solid. 2500 defense. It basically switches the Dark Magician stats so you can just wall up on it. Also a rank 7. Very solid card. Magician's Rod, the quote-unquote Stratos of the deck. This card really makes the deck go. You don't really normal summon in this deck. If you notice with Blue Eyes and Dark Magician are similar in the sense that both decks barely normal summon. Your only normal summon in the deck is usually the Magician's Rod unless you're playing something like Kaiku, or I honestly don't even know what else you would play. I haven't really seen anything else that people are playing unless you're playing different tuners and stuff or whatever. But outside of that, Magician's Rod is your only normal summon. So when it's summoned, you're able to add one spell or trap card from your deck to your hand that specifically lifts the card Dark Magician in its text. So basically you use this to search the best card in the deck, which is Dark Magical Circle. I'm sure in its text. Yeah, in its text. So yeah. So this is one of the ways to get to your best card in the deck. This being the best card in the deck, it really does, have a lot of synergy, and it's cool that you are able to search it out. During your opponent's turn, if you activate a spell or trap while this is in your effect, while this card is in your graveyard, you contribute one spellcaster monster, add this card to your hand. So basically, if it were to come up, I haven't seen it come up, but you could basically attribute one of your spellcasters, and you could just add Rod back to your hand and use it again. Now, that's not the point. The point is that it's a searcher for the best card in your deck. You couldn't get better than that. The last monster we're talking about is Magician's Robe. Now, Magician's Robe gets a bad rap. Card's kind of like whatever. I don't really get like the point of running it. But I guess, like it says, during your opponent's turn, you can discard one spell or trap card, special summon one Dark Magician from your deck. During your opponent's turn, if you activate a spell or trap card while this card is in your graveyard, you can special summon this card, but banish it when it leaves the field. Basically, I guess if you want to use up your spells or traps, discard them, summon this. To summon a Dark Magician. It's whatever. A lot of people don't like this card, but to each his own. Now that we've gone over the monsters, what they do, I guess other cool things, I guess you can make rank 3s if you get 2 rods on the board. I mean, that's the only other thing I can think of as far as exceeds go, but that's besides the point. So to the spells, we're going to talk about the best card in the deck. This card is insane. Dark Magical Circle. So this card, when it's activated, you look at the top 3 cards of your deck. Then you can reveal one Dark Magician or one spell or trap that specifically lists the card Dark Magician among them. Add it to your hand. Also place the remaining cards of your deck in any order. If a Dark Magician is normal special summoned on the field, except during the damage step, you can target one card your opponent controls, banish it. So, you get to use both of those effects once per turn. So basically, you get to, when you activate it, you look at the top 3 cards of your deck. Any Dark Magician, spell, or trap, or monster, add it to your hands. You can instantly get a +1. You can instantly like break even by activating it. Stays on the board. You get a card to your hand. The best effect though is its banishing effect. Whenever a Dark Magician is normal or special summoned. That's crazy. You're always special summoning these Dark Magicians. That's what they do as vanillas. They don't do much. But with this card, in tandem with this card, they do a lot. They have the ability to banish any problematic card on the field, and I think that is just fantastic. When you have multiple circles, multiple cards are getting banished. It's ridiculous. I've had multiple cards banished. It's crazy. With Magician's Navigation, you're able to get out multiple Magicians, so I think it's just insane. This is without a doubt the best card in the deck. This deck would not be playable without this card. I feel it's a fantastic card, and it does have a pretty hefty price tag, but the reason is that it is the core of the deck. The whole core of your deck is to get to this card ASAP, set it up, set up your deck, get your Dark Magicians, and start rolling and start banishing away your opponent's problematic cards so you clear their board and you just win and you overwhelm them. So I think this card is amazing. Now, as far as support cards go in spells, I'm only going to talk about 2. The first one is Dark Magic Attack. I think this card is gimmicky, but I think it's cool as anything. Activate if you control a face-up Dark Magician. Destroy all spell and trap cards your opponent controls. Harpy's Feather Duster. I mean, that's ridiculous. Why wouldn't you play it? And then a card that a lot of people go back and forth about. It's called Illusion Magic. You attribute a spellcaster type monster you have. Add up to 2 copies of Dark Magician from your deck and or graveyard to your hand. You can only activate 1 per turn. I really like the fact that you can add them from your deck because that makes them searchable. If they're in the graveyard and you need to use them for something, you have the ability to add them. You have versatility. It's a card that gives you versatility, being able to get them from the graveyard to the deck. I really like that. I know a lot of people don't really like it. I think it's a cool card though because you never know what the situation will call for, whether you need to search it from the deck or get them back from the graveyard. So I think that card's cool. On to the traps that really make the deck, made the deck come full circle. So, Magician's Navigation. Special summon one Dark Magician from your hand, then special summon one level 7 or lower Dark Spellcaster type monster from your deck. So basically, you automatically summon 2. Automatically, you have a Dark Magician and another Dark Magician. That's crazy. And it also says, if you control a Dark Magician except the turn this card was sent to the graveyard, you can banish this card from the graveyard. Target one face-up spell or trap card your opponent controls. It has its effects negated until the end of this turn. That effect is amazing. You get this card in the graveyard. When you have a Dark Magician, your opponent tries to use a spell or trap, you banish it from the graveyard, negate it. I think that's really cool. That gives a lot of flexibility to this card, and it gives you more options that you wouldn't normally have. You're usually always having a Dark Magician on the board, so I feel that this effect will always be live. I think this card is amazing. It can summon up to 2 monsters for free, make your rank 7s, and just put damage on the board. The one thing I'll say about Dark Magician, while it may not be as strong as Blue Eyes White Dragon, 2500 and 2500 is still 5,000. That's more than half your life. So I think it's really cool that the Dark Magicians are getting utilized by not only themselves but also by the spells and traps. So, and then the last card, my personal opinion, probably the second best card in the deck as far as the spell and traps go, Eternal Soul. Card is insane. You can only activate one of these effects. You can activate one of these effects. You can only use the effect of Eternal Soul once per turn. You have the ability to special summon one Dark Magician from your hand or graveyard, or add one Dark Magic Attack or 1,000 Eyes from your deck to your hand. So as you guys can see, that has synergy with this. It's searchable if need be. Not always necessary, but that is one of the effects. Its main thing is that it special summons one Dark Magician from your hand or graveyard. Dark Magician is usually in your hand or it's in your graveyard at all times. You get it on the board, you're going to be in a winning position. Works perfectly with Circle because you have Circle on board. You Eternal Soul from graveyard or hand, you banish a card, and you got a Dark Magician on the board. My favorite effect, though, that I think just makes this insane is that it says all Dark Magicians in your monster zones are unaffected by your opponent's card effects. Completely unaffected. That's crazy. There's no specifics that says that they can't be destroyed, that they can't be targeted, whatever. They are unaffected by your opponent's card effects. That's crazy. The only downside to this card, if it were to happen, is if this face-up card leaves the field, destroy all monsters you control. So, if you get Twin Twistered, if the card gets popped by something, you're losing your field. That is the only downside. But other than that, I think the card is amazing. So I've gone over pretty much why Dark Magicians, what they do, what their purpose is, and I feel that they should not be underestimated. We've already seen Jeff Jones get 34th place at YCS Minneapolis playing this deck. If you read the feature matches, you read what his deck was able to do. My brother Cordero plays this deck. He knows the deck inside and out. The deck is really, really good, and I feel that it's just underrated, and I think that that is just... I really don't think that is correct in this current format. If you roll a deck out and you play against it and you spend half the match reading the cards, most likely you're going to lose because your opponent is going to get too much advantage on you. So do I think Dark Magicians have a chance to be one of the best decks in the format? Hard to say. Right now I would say they're definitely not up there for the best decks of the format, but they definitely have the potential to get better, and as players discover new strategies with them, I think they will definitely see a lot more play. The most notable deck profile that I've seen recently was one on my boy Team Samurai X1's channel. Shout out to you, bro. His boy Knock, he got 12th place at a like 400-person regional, playing Dark Magicians, but he main decked 3 Ghost Ogre. Ghost Ogre was an out to ABC Dragon, to Omega, depending on what decks you played against, Dante, etc. You could also summon a Dark Magician, summon a Cherries if you had an extra one. You can make a Leo. That gives flexibility to the deck. It puts a Dark Magician in the grave for Eternal Soul. It puts a Reaper on the board as your only tuner. You don't really normal summon outside of Rod. You make a Leo, which is untargetable. I think that's pretty crazy. So it does show that people are giving the deck a chance, and I think that's what really should be done. I feel this deck should get a lot of attention. This is Yugi's deck. This is the Yugi Moto deck, and I think it's just awesome that people give this deck a chance. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this discussion. If you did, smash that like button. You want to see more discussions, please let me know on what in the comments below, and I'll definitely be bringing that to you guys in the next couple videos. Yeah, shout outs to Dark Magicians and shout outs to the players who give them a chance, because I think it's really cool that since Blue Eyes are a deck, it's time we give, the underrated deck a chance, because Yugi has always beaten Kaiba. You can say what you want, but Yugi always had the heart of the cards, and I think you play this deck, you have the heart of the cards too, you can win. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Smash that like button. I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you for watching.